Hi everyone, Catherine here from Inky Finger Cat, back with day 3 of Christmas in July, and today our theme is Deck the Halls. How are we going to interpret that one? I'm going to interpret it by making a wreath themed card by doing it on the stamp wheel. That's basically what I'm going to do. That's my plan anyway. Let's hope it goes to plan. I have grabbed my supplies out of the pouch already, and I've chosen my faithful stamps that were designed by the fabulous Darcy, who happens to be a friend of mine, for Paper Artsy. These are from, gosh, quite a few years ago now. Very well loved, very well used stamps, in particular the holly leaves. I absolutely love those holly leaves, and I'm going to use them again, I think. They're very steampunk in design, these stamps. So there's like little cogs and stuff on the Christmas tree and in the star. But I love them. Love them. So that's my plan, is to use these. I've not decided what colouring medium. I've not decided what colour schemes to do or anything. So I need to have a little think about that before I start popping that into putting the camera into the overhead. But yeah, so I'm just going to grab this moment to just say, please subscribe if you want to see future videos. There will be a video every day. That's the plan. I'm obviously only on day 3, so we've got a long way to go. But yeah, a video every day in July sharing a Christmas-based project. And this is my 3rd year of doing it. And so there are 2 other playlists already up and running for last year and the year before. And this year's is already going, I'm guessing, by this point. We are talking June when I'm filming this, not long after I've got back from holiday. So excuse anything that you can see on my hands in terms of bite marks and stuff from the holiday. I know I've got quite a lot up my arm. Yes, apparently the mosquitoes found me very tasty. So yeah, I imagine by this point I've set up this year's playlist and it's already up and running. But yeah, okay, enough blathering, let's get on. Okay, so I'm using a piece of watercolour cardstock. I decided by this point I was definitely going to watercolour, so I'm going to stamp them in VersaFine. And it is at this point that I realised that these stamps are not really made for the stamp wheel because they are rubber cling mounted stamps. But I decided to persevere, and to be honest, it worked fine. There's a couple where I slightly just double stamp them a little bit, like that one. It's just got a slight shadow to it. Basically, the stamp wheel is designed when you've put the grip mat in for it to be with like cling mount stamps, the clear ones. If I took the grip mat out, it would work fine, but then I'd not got anything to stick my cardstock down, so I decided to just persevere, and it worked well enough. But yeah, ideally, don't try this with a stamp wheel and cling mounted stamps. You have to just really be careful and just sort of slightly press them into place. As I say, it works fine, it's not a problem. Now, I wanted the berries to be in the foreground of the wreath, so I've stamped them first, and then I've stamped them again onto some post-it notes, and then I'm just fussy cutting them out. And a trick with this is to fussy cut a few layers at once, and then you'll get multiple ones. I obviously needed the 8 because I'd stamped it 8 times, so yeah. Now I'm going to layer up my leaf stamps, and this time instead of doing the same thing 8 times, I only did it 4 times. So each time I am choosing where I want, take note of where the little hole is in the lid of the stamp wheel, and then I am going to just basically move it round however many notches I want it to be moved round. So in this case, as I say, I chose to only do it 4 times. Again, I am now stamping that leaf image and the other leaf image onto some post-it notes, and I will fussy cut that out as well to do some more masking. And the way you do masking so that you can get it so it looks like a layered image is you basically start with what do you want on the top, do that first, then mask that, then do the next layer and then mask that and anything you want underneath it, for example. That's how it works. And then when you peel back all your post-it notes, you'll find that the last thing you stamped is in the very background. So you do have to think a little bit to do it differently and to do it the opposite way around to the way you would think. So you don't do your background first, you do your background last. So the other stamp is a slightly larger leaf stamp, and you can see there I have stamped that to go the sort of on the inside of the wreath shape, but coming out from the other set of the berries. Again, I've stamped it 4 times. Now, I'm now going to go in, mask those off. And then I'm going to decide I want that one to just join up behind those 2 bits. And again, stamping it 4 times, just turning the stamp wheel platform, the top layer, 4 times. And then I'm just going to take my other leaf image and I'm going to stamp that where I know it's not going to interfere with the one that I've just stamped, so I don't need to worry about masking again. And that is all of my wreath stamped. Now, I did and ah about whether to leave the berries covered up and to do a slightly more watercolour type loose painting, and then I changed my mind pretty much straight after I'd taken it out of the stamp platform, the stamp wheel. I then changed my mind and took all the masking off those as well and decided no, I was going to do a fairly clean colouring. I had and ahed about whether to do something else. To be honest, I think what would have happened was I probably would have needed some masking rubber because I think it would have seeped underneath the post-it note. So that was part of my decision making, to not go with a loose watercolour and instead to do a more detailed watercolour. However, I am still using my Brushos, and using Brushos means you get different sort of colours of the pigment rather than just a flat colour. This one I'm using, I think, is the sea green. I also use, the second colour I end up using is leaf green, and the third colour is emerald green. So I've got a very old now set of Brushos that I don't use often enough. I love using them. I think they're so beautiful. Even just using them as a normal watercolouring medium, which is what I'm using for today. They're just so pretty. But yeah, I've got an old set and it's got quite a few colours in there. I want to say it's got 18 colours, but I could be wrong. So here we go, going in with a different colour, and it's just so I've got some variation between my leaves, and that helps to, even though the line art obviously gives you the variation, it just helps to break it up a little bit and to give it all of those different leafy colours. I love looking at the colours of leaves and trees and things. I just think it's amazing how many different shades there are. And you'll see the way I'm using the Brushos. I have got like my set have all got like pinpricks in the top of them because this is what I kind of learned how to do when I first got them. It is a little pot that's filled with pigment, and it's just a dry pigment, and you just add water to it. But what you don't want is too much. You can see how vibrant these are coming out. A little goes a very long way. So I literally just tap a tiny bit onto my glass work surface, and then I've got some water that I've just sprayed onto the work surface, and that's just giving me enough to move the pigment into a sort of a liquid state, and that gives me enough to be able to then colour my leaves. I just think it's gorgeous. I really love the vibrancy of this. It's very unusual for me to go super vibrant with colours. And do you know what this is making me think? You know, when I use the colour cubes, I do a random generator number, and I then just go with whatever that colour cube card is and make something. I've not tried Brushos with it. I'm wondering if that might be a good idea, because what I quite often end up doing is blending my ink. And and I just don't get the same vibrancy of the colour at all. Now, for my berries, I went in with Brilliant Red and did all of the berries. Sometimes they look a little bit paler just because there was more water added to the pigment. But yeah, I just used the Brilliant Red. These berries have got kind of like a little section of them. I can't really describe what it is. I didn't do well at things like biology at school where you did plant parts and things like that. But there's a little section of it that's just been drawn in by Darcy. So I took the other red now. What was it called? I think it's called Scarlet Red. Yeah, I think it was Scarlet. And it's just a slightly darker red. Might not have been Scarlet, I can't remember now off the top of my head. But it was just a slightly darker red. And I just went over those little sections with that darker red because I just thought it gave it a little bit of definition. Now, I went in with this is a Wink of Stella brush that's got gold in it as the sort of pigment colour, the mica colour in it. And I just literally just used it to do splatters. It's a very greeny gold, but it worked well for this card. And I just thought the splatters just helped to make it look a little bit more arty. Now, I'd laid down quite a lot of water. It hadn't really warped very much because of the fact that this was a watercolour cardstock, but it had warped a bit. I should have just really left it to just dry naturally, but I didn't. I ended up using my tool. And then I'm just going to trim it down slightly because I want this to be a 7x7 card eventually. I thought I had some 7x7 card blanks in the stash. Turns out I didn't. But yeah, I'm just trimming it down slightly. And I'm just using the wording that's on my mat there, not my mat, my trimmer, in order to work out where it was because it was bigger than the 6-inch. And then I moved it just slightly further out, and that gave me my lovely mat of my black. Now, I will admit that Wink of Stella shimmer, that gold shimmer, it sheds. So there was quite a bit around on the desk from every time I used my hand to kind of wipe down or do something. I'd end up with gold shimmer everywhere. Now, the sentiment, I decided to stick with Darcy's stamp set, and I just stamped and embossed the sentiment because I just thought it was beautiful, and why not? I did it on the same watercolour cardstock because I wanted the colour of the cardstock to match the main wreath image. And then I decided it needed a black frame that would work with the black mat. So I'm adding that to just that scrap of the black that's been cut from a journal at some point. And then I'm going to use some foam mount, just adhesive foam mount. I put quite a bit on because it's quite a large card and I didn't want it to be saggy. This might well be the one that I end up giving to my parents or to one of my aunties or something as a special card. Now, I'm at this point hunting through my stash thinking I thought I had some 7x7 card blanks. Turns out I didn't. And then I thought, well, somebody had asked me to do fun folds. So how about I take these two 5x7 card blanks that are the Kingston Crafts and turn them into a 7x7 gatefold card. So I've literally cut a little bit off each of the card fronts so that the card front would be 3.5 inches wide. I'm pushing that together to make sure that that's how it's going to fit, and then I'm just going to adhere the back together. I've adhered half of the card topper front to the front. And now I am creating my little panel for the inside at the back, which just kind of covers up the seam, if you know, where the two pieces have come together. And I kept it really simple, and I went with another white and black mount, white with a blank mount, sorry. And then I'm just going to stamp those two beautiful leaves on the inside. Now, I ummed and ahed about whether to colour them in or not. So first of all, I decided to stick them in, and then I thought, no, I am going to colour them in. So I just took 2 of the green inks. I think it was sea green and grass green, or leaf green, I think it is, not grass green, and coloured one in with one and the other one in with the other. Just kept it really simple. Obviously there was no masking or anything along those lines. It just brings that image inside. I've been very much about finishing off the insides of cards this year. You'll have seen that on any previous videos you've watched. I just think it really helps to make them even more special. I don't always add a sentiment on the inside. Usually it's just an image or part of the paper that I've used on the front or something along those lines. I just like to continue the front through to the back. Or not the back, the inside. And obviously this is a bit different for me. I don't normally do fun folds. It's not a very extravagant fun fold, but I really like that pop of red around it. I'm really pleased that I came up with the idea of doing that, given that obviously I had originally thought I was going to have a card blank already made. So I hope you've enjoyed that. I enjoyed making it. It was very therapeutic colouring in all of those images. And yeah, another card done. So please do subscribe if you want to see more. There are plenty more coming, obviously, for the whole of July. Christmas in July is happening. Please leave me a comment below as to what you think. And once again, thanks for watching. Till next time, bye-bye.